Number 1. I think I met a vampire. So, I go to college near Springfield, Massachusetts. I was walking in the city kind of late, maybe around 11 p.m. I cut through the side street when this guy steps out of an alleyway licking his lips. White dude, about 6 feet, late 20s. But the way he dressed was off, like 80s attire, kind of outdated but not in a hipster way. Just old. He spotted me, made a beeline for me, and asked for directions. The second he got close, I swear to God, he smelled like blood. It was dark, so I couldn't see what he was drinking, but he was holding something. A bottle? A cup? No clue. I remember fixating on his canines. They weren't long, but they were sharp, like noticeably sharp. Then he asked me where the nearest payphone was. I told him I had no idea because who the hell uses a payphone in 2025? But the weirdest part? He had an accent. European one, but he first tried to speak Tagalog to me. I'm Filipino, but I only speak English. I laughed a little because why did he assume? But now that I think about it, how did he even know Tagalog? And then it got really weird. For a split second, it felt like the air got sucked out of the street. Like everything stopped. No wind, no distant cars, no nothing. Just silence. I turned my head for half a second, maybe instinctively, and when I looked back, he was gone. Not walking away, not turning a corner, just gone. I know he was real because when he first walked toward me, he kicked a rock, and I heard it skid across the pavement. I even checked. The rock was there. So yeah, either I met a vampire or something like that, or I ran into some guy cracked out of his mind. Anyone experience anything similar? Who do I even contact? What do I do? Number 2. I witnessed something. Hi everyone. This is my first time posting in this community on Reddit, although I wrote this out and included it in another thread today. This happened to me about 6 years ago. I'm a very stable, late 40s, married mom of 3. I'm an American, but have lived in northern Germany with my family, in a small, relatively rural community, for 20 plus years. I know this environment very well, and am bilingual. As I often used to do, I would load my female Labrador retriever into my car and drive about a mile outside of our village into the countryside a little so my dog could get out and run free. She was a wonderful dog, attentive and very devoted to me. She stayed in my area when we were out in the country, and we both stayed relatively close to my car. I would smoke a cigarette out there and she would run around. We were always there in daylight, and sometimes there was a jogger or a farmer on a tractor in the distance, but we were normally alone, and again, this is a very safe area. Because I'm an American? Probably. I am nevertheless attentive to my surroundings, and JIC. Always carry pepper spray. Plus, I have the big dog. The landscape is low and sparse, brushy. A few big scattered trees, but mostly flat marshland. And you can see all around you. You can see through and between the foliage, and the land is vast, sparse, flat, and marshy. So we always drove down to the end of a dirt road, not into a clearing, just into a flat, low-brush, high-visibility country field landscape. Okay, so 2 things happened in this same location with just me and my dog present on 2 separate occasions. They might seem like no big deal, but I don't understand, and although I was never frightened, I've always been bothered. The first thing that happened was that I, with my dog, she actively watched this event, observed a small brown leaf, just a regular dead, dry tree leaf, hang suspended moving only about an inch in any direction, in front of us for at least a full minute. Let me explain. There was no wind, no invisible spider web or filament holding it, no tree or bush suspending it. It hung, moving slightly, independently, in the air in front of us, between us. Directly in front of me, at my eye level, my dog looked up to it. I plucked it out of the air and we drove home. I wasn't frightened, but it was memorable and odd. My dog fixated on the leaf as well. When it was in my hand, I showed it to her directly, and as I said, we packed up and left. But it was like watching magic. I stood there and watched it. Within this same time period, but on another trip to the same local location, in broad daylight, I heard someone call to me. Please, and I thank you for your patience. Let me explain. I won't use my real name. In this sparse, German rural countryside, with only my dog present, I heard this sentence. Julie, I can see you. I heard it from a specific direction. It was crystal clear to me, and I would say it sounded like from a distance, almost as if low shouted, but not from too far away. Like 100 to 200 yards away was the feeling of distance/volume. Obviously, no one was there. Flat fields and low brush weeds. Nowhere to hide or stalk. No point of secret approach. Even worse, although I didn't recognize the voice, I would say it was male. It was absolutely in non-accented/native English. So this was not a German person. And anyway, there was no person present. If there had been, I would have of course been terrified. But my dog and I were completely alone, as far as my eyes could see. I still can't explain this. More than clearly hearing the voice, and even more than hearing my name, it was the perfect sounding neutral English of the voice in that environment. Apparently for me, that freaks me out. Do you guys get me? I'm in the middle of nowhere in Germany. My dog did not react to this call, this voice that said exactly what I wrote above. She didn't seem to register it at all. We packed up and went home. I can't explain this. I'm a spiritual person, a believer. This hasn't changed me, or even traumatized me, but it happened just like I've written. And while both experiences did not feel frightening or threatening, they definitely felt strange and otherworldly, if you will. I'd love to hear what anyone thinks. Number 3. I saw something while driving, and I don't want to believe I'm going crazy. I'm on a 3-lane road, driving to pick my mom up to go shopping. It's about 7 p.m. As I'm driving, I notice in my rearview mirror, there's a car speeding and weaving in and out between the cars, and they are coming up fast. I'm thinking to myself, this guy's a nut. They start to pass me on the road, and I look over to see what the asshole looks like, and this is where it gets scary, so bear with me as I try to explain it as best as I can. The body of the person was in the correct position, front-facing. The neck and head were stretched and turned towards the right, facing my lane. From the nose up, they looked what I can only explain as demonic, swollen in the eyebrow area, frown downwards, dark eyes. And the mouth was stretched wide straight across. I mean, stretched like nothing I've ever seen. It was the most horrible thing I've ever seen. It scared me so bad that I pulled over to the nearest parking lot and had a panic attack. My entire body shook for almost 30 minutes, and I'll never get the picture out of my mind. Now, I'm not schizophrenic. I don't have any mental health issues that would cause a hallucination. I haven't watched any scary movies or scenes, and I have 20/20 vision. I don't know what I saw. But whatever it was the worst thing I've ever seen, and I hope I never see it again.